Hello, hi, welcome. Thank you for watching. My name is Bryan Stafford, and I am an intuitive tarot reader with Stafford Tarot. I thought I would come on and just talk a little bit first about some of the things that are going on recently and lately, and also at some point in this broadcast I will do some free readings for those interested. Let me just see if I can make sure I can see your comments. If anyone is watching, I'll just talk a little bit while more people are coming on. But if you could just write hi in the comments so that I know I can see the comments, that would be great. I've had a little bit of issue in the past where I couldn't see the comments, and it was a bit disastrous. Yeah, if at any time during this broadcast, if you are interested in receiving a free reading when we get to that point, just write interested in the comments and I will write your name down. I will do the readings in the order that people have requested, and so we'll just go from there. If you're interested to learn more about me or what I do, you can please feel free to visit my website at www.staffordtarot.com, where I describe about myself, I give my background and what it is that I offer. I talk about the services of Stafford Tarot, and I'm also very excited. My website has a blog where you can find event announcements and reading suggestions and tarot tips, and it also features free video lessons where you can learn to intuitively learn to do tarot readings yourself. And I really recommend, if you are interested to learn to do tarot for yourself, check out my blog and check out those lessons. The lessons were offered by Lindsay Knight, a very talented tarot reader and numerologist. She allowed me to feature her lessons on my website, so take a look at that when you can. The reason why I'm really excited about my blog is because it recently reached its 100th blog entry. So in order to celebrate, I have created a special draw to receive 100 free minutes of readings remotely. So in order to enter the draw, you simply have to mention my blog on your social media and then just let me know that you've done that, and you will automatically be included to receive that. This is separate from my regular draws that I do monthly. I do have monthly draws that go for a chance to win a 30-minute tarot reading remotely. And so that will be taking place on June 20th, and that is separate from the 100th entry of the blog draw. So feel free to enter both to raise your chances to win. All the details for that will be on my website, staffordtarot.com. And the last thing I want to talk about or mention is this Saturday. I will be attending the Niagara Region Pagan Fest, celebrating summer solstice on June 18th. Really looking forward to that. I will be doing readings for those interested, and I will be offering a workshop on doing self-intuitive readings for yourself. The readings that I'm offering will be a 15-minute reading, sort of a short reading, for $25, a half-an-hour reading for $50, and I will also offer multiple readings within an hour for $100. And if you're interested in taking the workshop to learn how to do tarot for yourself, for self-readings, that'll be $75, and the workshop was designed to be short. It takes about a half an hour to get through, and we're going to look at objectiveness, intuitiveness, and then the messages in the cards themselves and how to read that for self-readings. And then there'll be this activity that you can take home, and you can take home the tarot deck that you get to work with as well during the workshop, so that you right away have something you can work with afterwards. So I'm really looking forward to that. Space is limited, so if you are interested, let me know, and you can reserve a time for me, and I will reserve your spot for the workshop. I am doing it one-on-one or with a group, but like I said, there's only a limited amount of spaces available. And also the price for the workshop is expected to increase after the festival, so do take advantage of this opportunity. If you're coming to the festival, check me out. Let me know. Just say hi and let's chat. And it'd be great to meet new people. And check out some of the other amazing vendors that are going to be there. I've had the privilege to see sort of a preview through pictures and talking with some of the vendors that are going to be there, and it's just going to be a wonderful event. So if you're able, please join us. It'll be in Niagara Falls at the Fireman's Park. All the information will be on my website, so just check it out on the homepage as well as in the event announcements there. So thank you. Unless anyone has any other questions about me or what I do, feel free to just put them in the comments. This is being broadcast to my website, so if you're watching from the website, I do apologize, you're not going to be able to comment or request a reading from there. If you want to come in and join the conversation or receive a reading, join me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/bryantarotreading, and you'll be able to join right in from there and interact. So I do see Carrie Gray. Hi, Carrie. You've requested a reading, and so I can get started with that. I think tonight is going to be a little shorter than usual. I usually talk for about an hour or so, but there's a lot to look forward to moving forward with the festival coming up. So, Carrie, if you're still watching, just let me know that you're still there, and I will begin your reading. The type of reading that I wanted to do tonight, given that it's the full moon, the strawberry moon, it's a super moon, and the moon is sitting in Sagittarius, I just feel like there's all this high emotion and energy and action needed to be taken by a lot of people, and so I thought I would do a trans-dimensional emotional reading. So I'm going to pull a single card from my original deck, my Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Just one card that gives me an impressional reading, an impression of who I'm reading for. And then we're going to talk about sort of what you're going through with this deck. I'll do a 3-card pull, and we'll look at the messages and how they relate to each other to find out what you're going through. And then we'll use my Zen deck for some advice based on that. So the reason why this is called a trans-dimensional reading is because I am taking the same energy, the same reading through different tarot decks and relating each reading to each other. I'm just reading the comments here. Hi, Christine. Thank you for requesting a reading. I'm just going to do a reading for Carrie, and then I'll do a reading for you. And I see your question there. Is this collective? What do you mean by that? By collective? Hello? No worries. I'm happy to help, and I really enjoy offering the readings every once in a while. I actually give free readings quite often. I do it quite regularly, sometimes even outside of my draws or outside of these live broadcasts. I love giving birthday readings to people, and so I just tend to give free readings regularly. Readers to do readings for everything. Oh, I see. Collective. I see what you mean. So I usually do them separate. So I take individual moments to connect with each individual person to do their reading, and then I'll move on to the next person. I do offer collective tarot pulls for full moons and new moons on my website. If you're interested in that, you can check it out. They're more like general public card draws that are based on the energy of the full moon. Oh, perfect. Good. I like to personally do individual readings myself, even when I do free readings at events, simply because it's just an easier way of connecting with someone else. I really appreciate connecting with the other person. I more enjoy in-person readings for that reason. I use my crystal ball to keep my focus during remote readings so that I can get some of that connection, but when I'm in person, it's just it's such a different experience reading the energy of the other person while I'm reading for them. It just adds an extra layer of commitment to the reading, if that makes sense. So Carrie, this is for you. Thank you for waiting. And Carrie, I'm just shuffling the cards and just connecting with you, just with your picture and your name. And this card just jumped out, and I don't believe in coincidences in tarot, and so I need to read it. And it shows it kind of landed on the table this way, and so that's the way I'm going to read it. And it came out reversed. This is the Strength card. And so what this is telling me, Carrie, is that you are not connecting with your inner strength. There's something that you probably are going through that is a tough time, that you have the strength inside you to deal with it. You just need to connect with it. That's what this card's telling me when it's reversed. If it came out this way, the way it normally should look, it would tell me that you have a connection with that inner strength of yours, and that you're full force. You can connect with it. You can use it. But it's reversed. So when it's reversed like this, it doesn't necessarily mean that that inner strength isn't there. It's simply that you're not connecting with it. This card would not come out if you didn't have that inner strength. So try to connect with that. Does that make sense to you, Carrie? And while I'm waiting for Carrie's response, if that makes sense, I'll just answer Christine's question. I am Piscean, so I am a Pisces. So Carrie, just in reconnecting with you here, let me know if this makes sense, or yes, okay, thank you. Okay, I just saw your message. And now sometimes there's a bit of a delay in the way that the messages come up, so I do apologize if you answer and I'm looking a little spacey or still waiting. It just hasn't come up on my screen yet. There's always a little bit of a delay there sometime. So Carrie, I'm going to use that for the energy of the reading, and I'm going to move forward with this deck. Now I'm just going to focus on how that reading has turned out with needing to connect with that inner strength while I shuffle this deck. And what I'm asking this deck for basically is just to describe a situation that you're in, or what's involving you, or how does this card affect you moving forward. And then after I do a 3-card pull and we look at those messages, I will use this deck to pull 3 more cards to do a trans-dimensional reading for advice based on the outcome of this. So I hope that makes sense. I'll go through it with you, and we'll take one step at a time. Now, that card just popped out, and so I need to read it. And this is sort of a higher arcana card 16, and it's the rebuild card. I'll just show you the imagery here for a moment. Okay, so this is like a spiritual card. This is sort of like rebuilding yourself, kind of like when you analyze yourself. I like to call this shadow work, where you look at your inner self and you decide what qualities are benefits, what qualities could hamper you, and you sort out all of those different inner aspects, and sometimes it can involve past issues or trauma perhaps, or different things that can affect you in your decisions for life. And so what this card is really saying is that to analyze that, to rebuild yourself in the best way possible. And I'm going to pull 2 more cards out of this deck. So I'm just going to split the deck for those other 2 cards, since this one was a jumper. And you're right, the cards do seem to be jumping out so far. Kind of interesting, really. I always believe that there are no coincidences in tarot, and so when you get jumper cards, I really feel like it's a message that's just like needing to be delivered. There have been times when more than one card jumps out, And I was joking about this recently because I was shuffling, I was doing a reading for someone, and while preparing for the reading, like a whole bunch of cards just happened to fly out and land on the table. And the way that they landed on the table, it was almost like they had a specific order. It was obvious that they needed to be read, and so I went with it, and we read it as a path and a direction from the beginning of the card on. And it was amazing because it described the path that my client had taken from beginning to end. And it was so helpful for them to analyze the journey that they've been on. And it was just a needed message from the card. So the other two cards that came out for you, Carrie, are these two, and they came out reversed, and so we'll talk about that. But the cards that came out are to seek, the seeking card, and the healing begins card. So normally the cards look like this. Okay, and we'll talk about how they came out. Now together, when I look at these three cards together, I'll just remind you the first card that came out with the other two. Okay, so this is how they came out. So that's sort of rebuilding yourself, okay? Then this is sort of like, if the card turned out this way, it's sort of like seeking that inner peace or seeking some solitude. When it's reversed like this, it could also be like seeking inner knowledge as well, but when it's reversed like this, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's not happening, but that something's stopping you from doing that. Perhaps the life is just hectic right now and you can't get time to yourself, or perhaps it's just so much going on that you have so much on your head that you can't calm it down. And so this card is really suggesting that you may need to do that. There's this rush. Finding time to do this seems impossible right now, or really challenged. Does that make sense to you? And then the healing just isn't beginning yet. Normally the card looks like this, and this would mean like the healing has begun, or that you're beginning to heal, and the card's reversed. So that's not telling me that the healing's not going to happen. It is going to happen. You're on your way to healing, but you're not there yet. Okay? So when I look at these three cards together, it really talks to me strongly about this inner healing, this inner work that needs to be done, or this shadow work to organize yourself better, to rebuild yourself in a sense with that card, right? To really rebuild yourself in the way that you want to be presented, or the way that you want to be put together. Does that make sense for you, Carrie? I'm going to place these cards here in the way that they came out so that you can sort of see them from your view, and then we will move on to the other deck. I need to organize myself here. Okay, so this is my Zen deck, and I really like using this deck for advice. Quite often when a reading turns out to be either a difficult reading or high emotion, or perhaps the reading just could use a little more explanation, this deck has really been a great guidance tool for me. It's been really helpful. It's called the Zen deck. I'm fortunate, I can't remember the creator's name right off the top of my head, unfortunately. I need to look that up. But I love this deck. It just gives amazing energy connection with people, and I just find it gives really good advice. So that's what I'm hoping to use it for tonight. I think it would give really good advice looking at the situations moving forward with this high energy that's been around and the actions that need to be taken. So Carrie, I'm just connecting with our reading so far, connecting with the Strength card, plus the way that these three cards have come out, and extending that energy to this deck, and we will see what kind of advice it offers. I should also mention that the Zen deck does not have reversal meanings. not all of my decks have reversals. I know that some tarot readers don't actually work with reversals at all. I do, but it depends on the relationship that I have with each of the decks. I'm just going to cut this to 3 times. One more time. Okay. Okay, so the first two cards, I'll show you all 3 cards that came out, and then we'll talk about it. So these are the cards that came out. The first 2 are emotion cards, and the other card is sort of a guidance card, and we'll talk about that. I'll just describe them in the order that they came out here. So the first card is receptivity. The advice that's being given by this card is to accept what you receive emotionally, analyzing what comes in and then accepting it. If something is sad, sometimes you have to accept the sadness to move on from it. If something is confusing, sometimes you have to understand that confusion. I know that sounds like a opposites or a contradiction, but sometimes, you know, I really feel like that's what this card is saying to me, that you need to sort of receive and accept what is being received. And again, we have the healing card. Now, this is about emotional healing. This is an emotion card, and so what we're really talking about is like emotional healing. This can be from, you know, past trauma, or it could be from sort of emotional, like something that you're going through now. It doesn't necessarily have to be present. It can be from the past, like just whatever is bothering you emotionally that needs to be healed. It's suggesting that healing needs to take place. Okay. And then we have the new vision card. Now, this is about finding a new way of looking at things, sort of like changing your perspective. And so it may be helpful for you to find that new vision or to change that perspective. When I look at this reading as a whole, I find it really interesting on the amount of internal work that the cards are telling me that's needed, and the healing that's needing to be done from both readings. I find the message very strongly connected with this, based on what you're going through with these 3 cards. And then I should put these this way so that you can see them, or how well they show up on the camera. But I really see a connection in the way that these are happening. With your situation reading, you have this need to rebuild and this healing that hasn't begun yet, and this seeking inner knowledge or peace. And then the advice moving forward is to change your perspective, which is similar to the rebuild, to start that healing, which hasn't started yet, and then receive and accept what you receive, which can lead to enlightenment, which may help you find what you're seeking. And if we bring this right back to the beginning of the reading with this inner strength, I really feel like if you do this inner work, you're going to discover that the strength is there, that you can turn this card around. Okay? Do you have any questions, Carrie, about this reading? Or let me know if it was helpful. I agree with you, Christine. Sometimes reversals can be a little scary. Sometimes they can be not scary. I've had reversals. I mean, I do intuitive reading, so even though I understand the meanings and messages that are intended for the cards by the card creators and the artists, I do follow my own intuitive sense when I'm reading the messages. And so sometimes a card may be reversed but has a positive meaning to it. They're not always negative. or they're not. It doesn't always mean like a disastrous outcome or that it's something to be anxious about. Sometimes, and quite often actually, reversals can lead to just a different sense to the message or a different perspective in the message that the card is giving. I'm just reading the messages here. You're very welcome, Carrie. I'm glad that it was informative. That's a good example, Christine, where, especially if you have hope for the messages in the cards. I really think that that is a key to successful tarot reading, is remaining objective. If you can't separate yourself from the intended goal that you're hoping for, you will not read the messages in the cards in the way that they're intended to be received. You could be missing a lot of really highly potential advice or guidance on your path if you're not looking at the cards with an open mind. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm just going to thank my cards, and then Christine, I'll do your reading next. Thank you. This one next. Okay. I'm just reading the messages here, just catching up. You're very welcome, Christine. Well, we'll see what comes out. And right. Okay, well, if you'd like, Christine, I can focus on that career-wise. Moving, like, before I get started, I can have that as part of my intention for the reading, and we can see what kind of comes out in the cards. Let me know if you'd like me to do that, or if you want me to focus on the hoping for love. I could go either way. I can't really do both. Excuse me, I think the subjects are a little too far off. I could just leave it general, and we could see how the cards connect. I'm curious if you'd like to try that. If I leave it general... Oh, a love reading? Okay, I'll do a love reading. Okay, so I'm just starting this off, and oh my gosh, there's like jumper cards coming out. And what's really interesting about this card coming out is that this is a court card. And whenever I do readings like this, where my intention is based on future or possible relationship, court cards stand for people often. And so I'm really getting a sense that this is standing for a person, a man, an older gentleman with either blue eyes or blonde hair perhaps, and it's really interesting that this card has popped out in the way that it has. It was like, bam, like I just started shuffling and there it is. So I really feel like that is like throwing it out there, you know? So keep that in mind. I don't know if you have an interest that would meet that description, or if you haven't met someone, you know, there could be something possibility to consider. Wands represent actions, and kings are sort of like the ruler reigning over others in the best interest of of them. And so, yeah, I really feel like there's an action to move forward with this, and keep in mind the description of the person, okay? So I'm going to leave that here, and we're going to use that moving forward. And I'm going to use this deck, the Psychic Heart deck, to just connect with your situation, and then we'll see what messages we receive from it, what kind of insight. And I'm just intuitively shuffling until I feel like I should stop, connecting with the card and with your energy so far in the way that we've connected and communicated. I feel like this deck needs a good stir. Okay. I'll do this 2 more times. Okay, so the 3 cards that came out, and I'll go through them in the order that they came out, but I just want to show you the imagery of them first. Okay. So I'll talk about the first one that came out. The first one that came out is the Change Focus card. Now this is a card of embodiment, sort of like needs, like what you need for yourself. And the number 5 at the top is sort of like halfway along the path. So it's like making a decision. You could go either way. And this is the Change Your Focus card. So I really feel like that you could be changing your focus on the situation, that you're changing your focus currently. Perhaps you've decided to give up certain qualities and look for other qualities in someone, or perhaps there's a difference that you're making in yourself. Perhaps you're changing how you feel about yourself moving forward, because this is a reading about relationships. So just keep that in mind. Okay, then there's this really interesting card, this Refusal to See. And this is an intellect card. And the number 2 usually represents partnership. And so this is a refusal to see someone else, either someone else's side of you, someone else's ideas, someone else's emotions perhaps. But this is more intuitive or intellectual than emotional, okay? So just keep that in mind. It's more about ideas and thoughts. And so this refusal to see, perhaps the answer is right in front of you. If there's someone that you know, if there's like a relationship that has potential, but you're just not seeing it or refusing to see it for some reason, perhaps. And then there's the Embrace card reversed. Now, this is like spiritual communication and what you need to embrace. If the card was like this, I would suggest that you were embracing that, these new ideas, or that you're embracing the relationship, but it's reversed. So it's telling me that you're not quite embracing it, or that there's something that may be preventing you from embracing it. Perhaps, and this is, this is just off the top of my head as an example, Christine, but sometimes when someone goes through like a horrible experience in a relationship, they have trouble embracing going forward in the next relationship. And so I feel like it's connected to something like that, not necessarily a bad situation or experience, but that there's something that's preventing you from embracing this, the journey to move forward. Does that make sense? Yes, that's resonating. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the Zen deck, and we'll see what advice is given moving forward. I'm going to put these up here. I don't know how well they show up on the... Can you see them okay? Just so you can see the cards that come up. And again, I should just mention that the Zen deck does not have reversals for me. So we're just going to read the cards as they come out. Okay. Okay. And I'm just going to, again, just show you the 3 cards and then we'll talk about them in the order that they came out. Don't want to block the words there. Okay, so sometimes the imagery can speak to you, which is why I always like to show the cards. So the first card that came out is the Trust card. I like to call this the Leap of Faith card. The advice here is really to trust yourself and, you know, take that leap of faith. You know, it's really hard to do this. This is not an easy thing to do. When you look at the picture itself, could you imagine jumping from a tall height into fog, not knowing how high you are or what's below you or what you're going to fall into? I mean, that is the level of situation that of advice that we're talking about here is that, you know, you have to just take a leap of faith. Sometimes you have to just throw yourself out there and see how it turns out. Then there's the Understanding card. This is an intellect card and emotion card. And so with those two combined, the Understanding, I really feel like this is understanding your own intellect and your own emotion, understanding your own thoughts, processing what you're going through, and then understanding that to make the best decision for yourself. And then, interestingly enough, this is a higher arcana card, so this is considered like guidance, and it's the Rebel. And so the number 4 here represents sort of foundation and grounding. And so this is like, do you, you know, the Rebel doesn't necessarily mean doing something bad or doing something that's not good. That's pretty much the same thing. But the Rebel doesn't mean that you're doing something unjust or unfair. It just basically means that sometimes you have to think outside the box, or that sometimes you have to go outside of your parameters or out past the expectations that people put on you. And so the advice here is just to, you know, maybe you need to think outside the box, or maybe you need to, you know, connect with that inner rebel, you know, to, like, go have a good time. Maybe that's what you need to do to get through this, or to connect with someone, or, you know, listen to your instincts. Okay, that inner rebel isn't necessarily a bad thing. So when I look at this reading, these readings as a whole, I see the connections from the situation versus the advice. And interestingly enough, they also kind of came out in an order that can be related in the same way that the last reading did with Carrie. And that is, Christine, that, you know, when you look at what you need to embrace, and you have this rebel side, refusing to see and needing to come to an understanding, and then changing your focus and taking that leap of faith. I really think that there's a connection there, that if you just allowed yourself to experience it, you'll experience it. Does that make sense to you? I think a lot of times, especially with the refusal to see card being part of your situation, a lot of times the answer can be right in front of you and you just don't see it. And so just try to take a step back and change your focus and try to embrace what it is that you're seeing. and trust and understand that, you know, what it is that you need to accept, and you may find that you can see more than you did. Does that make sense, Christine? You're very welcome, Christine. Thank you for your message, and I really appreciate. I'm thankful to. I appreciate you allowing me to do your reading. Hi, Sheila. How are you? If anyone would, or Sheila, if you'd like a reading, just write interested in the chat. I was just finishing up a reading for Christine. Did you have any questions before I put the cards away, Christine? Sure, Sheila, I'll do you next. Well, thank you, Christine. Yeah, follow me on my Facebook page. I have a lot of information on my website. I try to put the events on my Facebook page as much as I can. I'm a little delayed on that sometimes, but the website is always like up to date. So if you find that it's not being, if I'm a little behind in the updates, just go to the website. But I do try to update them at the same time. I do try to keep it fairly up to date. Also, I do these lives once a month, usually on a Tuesday, and always at the same time. So if you're interested in coming back, just watch for me. I do put them in the events section on my page so that you can see when they're coming ahead of time. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to shuffle these cards and thank the deck for their advice and suggestions and insight here. And then I'll move on to the next reading, which will be for Sheila. Oh, thank you, Sheila. Thank you for checking out my website. I'm glad that it may have been helpful to you. You said you were impressed with how much is on there. I do hope it's helpful. I really enjoy sharing about what it is that I do and how I do it. And I'm always interested to share with others how to do it, because I mean, we all have an intuitive sense. We can all do the tarot readings. Of course, it's really nice sometimes to get someone else to do your reading for you, because that offers a very crisp and clear perspective or insight from a different perspective. I really appreciate going to see readers myself, just getting that different perspective and different point of view. The way that the messages are perceived by them can be different from the way that I receive the messages, and that can still be very insightful when you relate it to the situations. And so I'm always interested in helping others who are interested to learn to do tarot, which is why I share so much information on my website. Oh, nice. Oh, well, very good. I'm very glad that's helpful. And if you find the blogs helpful, check out the lessons. I don't know if you've seen on the blogs the lessons by Lindsay Knight that she allowed me to feature on my blogs. And that's phenomenal. Can be a phenomenal help as well if you're just learning. Excuse me. What I really like, I'll just explain before I start your reading, Sheila. What I really like about the way that Lindsay Knight does that, those lessons, is that she does not give you the meanings of the cards. It works with your intuition, and so it's really about how you read the card that creates the perspectives and the messages. And so I really like and appreciate the way that she respects that way of doing it, the intuitive sense. So Sheila, I'm connecting with you now, and I will start just to let you know the types of readings that I'm doing. Tonight I'm doing, because I believe you joined a little late, I'm doing transdimensional emotion readings, and so I'm doing a one-card pull from my oldest tarot deck to give me an impression of your energy, what's happening for you, or where you're at. Then we're going to look at, I'm going to use my psychic deck to analyze, do a 3-card draw just to see how the messages connect to describe your situation or what you're going through. And then I'm going to ask my Zen deck for some advice based on that. So we're doing basically 3 readings in one, connecting them together, getting the different perspectives from the decks. Ooh, that almost jumped. And we've had a lot of jumper cards tonight, that's for sure. Okay, so Sheila, this card's for you. This is the High Priestess card reversed. So what this is saying is that for me, the message that's coming out of this card is that you need to take time to make decisions for yourself. Also, a lot of times when the High Priestess card comes out like this, well, first let me explain that last message. Normally the card looks like this, and High Priestess are sort of like the coven leaders. They represent sort of the aid and help that you can assist others with. So, you know, if you have like a group of people that, you know, you're making the decisions in the best interest of them and caring for others. But it's reversed. So it's not suggesting that that's not happening, but that it's the other way around. You sort of have to look at this from your perspective, not from everyone else's. So I really think that there's a lot going on for you internally that that needs to be just sort of analyzed and sorted out for yourself, and you need to make those best decisions in the best interest of yourself. But I should also mention that sometimes when this card comes out this way, it can mean that if when we're talking about like future, if I told you how it was going to happen, it wouldn't happen. And so the High Priestess can sometimes come out this way to mean exactly that the High Priestess wants to sort of hold back so that you can discover it on your own. It's almost like if I told you how to do it, you wouldn't learn the lesson, right? So sometimes the High Priestess card can mean that. So just keep that in mind moving forward in this reading. I do get a sense, though, that you have a lot of internal stuff happening that you need to sort out for yourself in the way that it's not for everyone else around you, it's everyone else for you, okay? Does that make sense to you? And no worries about being late. I know when I saw that Cynthia's full moon ritual was tonight, I almost changed my date for this. Because I always do them on Tuesdays. I was disappointed that I wasn't able to participate in the full moon ritual. I didn't even think that, you know, it was going to be so close to the full moon. I got to check that more often. Moving forward, you know, like check in advance. Okay, so I'm connecting with you, Sheila, on how this came through. Thank you for answering my question. I'm glad that you can resonate with that. And I'm just going to shuffle intuitively until I feel like I should stop. Pretty much almost like how the cards tell me when I'm done. I'm just going to cut the deck 2 more times. 1 more time. Okay. So Sheila, here's the 3 cards that came out. I'll just show them to you, and then I'll talk about them in the order that they came out. Okay. So the first one that came out is the Opportunity Beckons card, and it's reversed. So what this is saying to me is that not it isn't that there isn't an opportunity beckoning, but that in order to take advantage of the opportunity, you have to see it. So there may be an opportunity that is right in front of you that you're not fully realizing, or that you haven't fully materialized yet. So keep an eye on that. If it's something that you're not realizing, you may want to take an extra look at some of the opportunities that you think are available to you and reevaluate if they're actually good opportunities. Or you may want to just keep an open eye moving forward that this opportunity could be approaching, okay? It just, the reason why I say that as not being here yet is because it's reversed, okay? Not that it's not going to happen. Then the next card is the Simply Love card. Now, number 6 represents caring for others, and this is like embodiment card, like our needs, what we need for ourselves. And so this simply love, it doesn't necessarily mean the love of a family member, but it can. It doesn't necessarily mean a love of like a close friend, but it can. It's basically just like a general love. Like your situation involves love. Either it could be a care for someone, it could be that someone needs to care for you, or that, you know, your situation involves more than you, and that there's a lot to consider in that, okay? Then the next card that comes out is the Seeking the Truth card. Now this is a spiritual card that is emotional. And so seeking the truth, this is like, you know, obviously the truth is important to you, and that this is part of your situation where you need to sort out the details, or you need to get the facts straight, or you need to you know, debunk some falsehoods perhaps. But there's something in regards to obtaining the knowledge that you need. Okay, does that make sense to you, Sheila, in your situation, or what you're going through? And I'll just make sure that the cards are on the right track with your answer before I proceed with the advice. Excuse me. So just let me know if that makes sense to you, Sheila. Yes, it does. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And I apologize if you answered already and I was still looking for the message, because they take a while to come up sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next reading, part of the reading, which is the Zen deck. And this is looking for advice based on how the outcome of this reading has gone so far. I should also mention that this Zen deck, I don't use reversals with it. I'm just going to cut the deck 3 times. One more time. Okay. So I'm going to show you the cards first, and then we'll talk about them. I'm not sure if it's coming out clear. This card here looks a little blurry. I don't know if I can fix that. Okay. So I'll go through them one at a time in the order that they came out. I'm just going to put these cards here so you can see them in the way that they were drawn. Okay, so the first card is Totality. Now, 5 represents sort of the halfway point on a path, and so this could go either way. And totality is like giving it your all. I mean, when you look at the image itself, you know, if you don't put it all in, it's not going to work out. Okay, so the advice with this card is give it your all. You know, totality, give it all, like your total, like your total thought, your total effort. Like you have to put in 100%. Okay. Then there's the change card. Now this is a higher guidance card. It's a intuitive higher guidance card, and it involves change. So this is really about the changes that are taking place. You need to accept the change, or you need to make changes. Okay. Then the projections card. Now this is number 7, which is spiritual, and this is emotion. And so what this card represents, and you can sort of see from the imagery, it sort of represents putting a face on. What you project to other people is not always what's happening underneath. And so you can see from the image, you know, that the one person is feeling one way and showing their emotion on their face a different way, and you can see that on the other person as well. And so that's really what this is meaning, is like, you know, you may want to bring what's inside out, or you may want to be careful how you're displaying yourself on the outside compared to what's happening within. Okay? When I look at how these readings connect, when I look at this as a whole, something's telling me that this is not an easy journey. Okay, and part of that is that the High Priestess card is reversed here, and when I look at how the advice connects with the situation reading, the opportunity beckons, and you're gonna have to give it your all. Okay, the seeking the truth and being careful with how you're projecting yourself, and that, or possibly how others are being projected as well. And then this this simply love, and this change that's required, or happening or coming. So you may just want to keep that in mind moving forward. Does that make sense to you, Sheila, with that advice? I really think that if you can just like give it your all and accept the change that's happening, and be mindful of how this affects you or others, or how others may be affected, this could go like quite well. I really feel like, even though I get the sense that it's either way, because the High Priestess card has come out like this, it's almost like you have it in you to do it. You don't need to be told what the outcome is going to be. It's just going to lead you there. It's almost like you're already on the path. Just going to read your message that just popped up here. Okay. Good. So you connect with that then, and I like how it sort of has summed up for you some of the things that you're already going through. And when you talk about becoming the person that you're aiming to be, that really speaks to me in this projections card, how you project yourself, or how you're being interpreted, how you want to be interpreted in comparison to how you are. Being aware of that can be good advice moving forward. Did you have any other questions about this reading before I put the cards away, Sheila? thank you for letting me read for you. And I'll just wait for your if you have a question to come up. Yeah, it's an interesting reading, and it does sort of speak to sort of like a challenging path or a rough journey. Oh, well, you're very welcome. I'll put these cards away. Just thank my decks here. Thank you. And while I was thanking this deck, a bunch of cards popped out for me to read, and so I thought I would just quickly go through them in the order that they've come out. There are 3 cards that popped out, and so I see this as being a message in terms of a path, and I can really relate to this moving forward. The first path that came out is the Tower path, and for me, this is like complete and utter change, like destroying something to move forward. And I can explain where that fits in. And then after that is in the order that they've come out. So this destruction to move forward, and then this balancing of finances and finding a balance between money. And then the Page of Pentacles, meaning that I'm starting this new path in terms of money. And this is totally true. I can really relate to this popping out for me at this time, because with my profession, my profession as a tarot reader, I have completely, like, in the past little while, I've completely, like, changed my website, changed the way I'm doing my blog, changed the way that I'm my perspective of doing things, how I'm giving free readings, trying not to be taken advantage of in that way. There's been just so many changes that I totally relate to this. And the changes were necessary in order for me not to crash. Like, I had to come up with the draws to not be taken advantage of giving so many free readings when I do this professionally, or just one example. And so if I actually let everyone take advantage and I gave free readings all the time everywhere, I wouldn't be profession. Like, I wouldn't make any money off it either. And so I wouldn't be paid for my time. So I wouldn't be able to continue doing it. So that's where I see that as being connected there. And then, of course, with all the changes that have happened, I've had to really balance my situation. I do have a family, I do have a spouse, and so we have to work together at our jobs and when we work and taking care of the kids and stuff like that. So there's a lot of balancing going on in terms of finances. And then, of course, this new path that I've taken, I've gotten involved in some local events. I'm going to the Pagan Fest on Saturday. I'm doing the workshop. That's new. And so there's these new paths that I'm following. And so I really think that what this is just telling me is that I'm on the right track, that I really can feel confident moving forward, because I can see how each of these steps of my path resonate with the journey that I've taken so far. Just thank my deck for that. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who came on tonight and let me read for you. And again, just be aware of your emotions through this time with the super full moon in Sagittarius the way that it is. I'm sure many of you are feeling that high emotion or maybe anxiety to get on track and do something, with the energy of Sagittarius being like action and creating involvement or getting on to things. You know, I think that a lot of us are just experiencing that high emotion in the past days leading up to this full moon, which is why I thought this trans-dimensional emotion reading might be helpful. At any time, anyone's interested to receive a free reading, you can always connect with me through my website, through Facebook, or through the messengers, through my email, bryantarotreading@gmail.com, or my website, staffordtarot.com, where you can request a free reading, and I will include you in the draws that happen every month. Hi Sheila, I see that you have a quick question. I don't see the question yet in case you've submitted it, so I'll just wait for I'll wait for that to pop up. While I'm waiting for that question to pop up, I'll just mention how much I'm really looking forward to going to the festival on the weekend. Been able to see some of what the other vendors are having to offer, and just phenomenal products are being created for the festival. It's just going to be such a great time. So if you're available, come check us out in the Niagara Falls at the Fireman's Park, and the information is on my website if you want the address. Oh, I can answer that question for you, Sheila. So the question is, how do they come up with things like Sagittarius full moon in June when Sagittarius doesn't come up until later in the year? So the Sagittarius later in the year that you're thinking of, Sheila, is the main zodiac with the sun. It's the sun sign. And so the zodiac is depicted by the position of the sun and the earth. If you took, if you had like a sketch of the sun, or a drawing of the sun, and you got the sun in the center and the earth is going around the sun, and you make a line going, or draw a line going from the sun to the earth, the line will go past, pointing to the area of space that is the zodiac. And so you're right. Sagittarius usually happens more around November, December, and that is because in November, December, the Earth and the Sun are in a position that point to the Sagittarius constellations in space when you create that line. And so that's why you have the different zodiacs in the different times of the year. What we're referring to when it's full moons is if you took the Earth and the moon and created that same scale where you have the Earth in the center and the moon goes around the Earth, and you create that line pointing out into the cosmos, that line from the moon will point to another constellation. So right now, Earth and moon are lining up with Sagittarius. So the energy from the full moon is being drawn from Sagittarius. So right now, the time of year is not Sagittarius, but the energies combine, if that makes sense, Sheila. So the different full moons can have different energy resonance based on the moon zodiac sign in comparison to the sun zodiac sign. That sounded really confusing, and I don't think I did a good job explaining that. Let me know if that made sense to you, Sheila. Okay, good. Yeah, so there's also, you may have also heard of a third type of zodiac called rising sign. So you have your sun sign, which is like me being born in the middle or beginning of March. I'm obviously Pisces, and so that's my sun sign. Then whatever direction the moon was facing at that time would be my moon sign, which is different from my sun sign. And then you get a rising sign. So the third part of this is the rising sign is whatever constellation was rising at the time in the horizon. So that can sort of tell you what was happening in the sky at that time. So there's 3 different ways of looking at astrology in terms of zodiac. It can get really confusing, especially when you're looking at analyzing someone's personality based on zodiac, because even though someone may have the full features of zodiac, they have other energies depending on how they're connected, and all of that. So it's really fascinating. It's really complex. It takes a lot of time. I love looking at birth charts in that regards, just to see the way that personalities can unveil over someone's life based on, you know, when they were born and what was happening in the universe at the time. Hi Cynthia, I just saw your message. How are you? I'm sorry that I missed your ritual. I was just finishing up some readings. Cynthia, if you'd like a quick reading, just write interested in the chat, and I can quickly do you. I just finished doing one for Sheila. The messages seem to be a little delayed, so I'll wait for your response there. Interested. Okay, perfect. Okay. So Cynthia, just to explain to you, the way that I'm doing the readings tonight, given that it's the strawberry full supermoon, as you are, I know you know this, Cynthia, that the amount of energy that's been around with the full moon and that sort of call to action with it being in Sagittarius, I thought that I would do trans-dimensional emotion readings. So the way that I'm doing this is I'm using 3 tarot decks to do the reading. I'm starting with a 1-card impression pull that just kind of gives me an impression of you or what you're going through. Then I'm looking at the situations that you are involved with, and then we're going to use the Psychic Tarot deck for that, and then I'm going to use my Zen deck for some advice based on the situation reading. So I hope that makes sense. I'll get started by just connecting with my first deck here and connecting with you, and I'm just going to intuitively shuffle until I feel like I should stop, and we'll see what it comes up with. So, when that happens, I have to read. Cynthia, you were on an extremely long journey, okay? I can't describe this journey in less than 21 cards. Because that's what popped out, and there are no coincidences in tarot. So I'm just going to go through this as quickly as I can in terms of telling a story. And I want you to look at the story in relation to where you are in your journey. And I want you to decide like where you are on the path, and it will tell you what's to come, okay? So I'm going to go through it really fast because, like I said, there's a lot of cards here. And this is not part of the initial reading. I just feel like this is a message that popped out of my deck for you to receive. So the first one that came out is the Hermit. And this is about like feeling like you're alone or having to do it yourself, going within and withdrawing. Then there's the Empress card. This is sort of like motherly energy. I'm not sure if it's your motherly energy or if it's motherly energy from a third person, but involving the beginning of your path. Then there was this inability to remove these restraints. It's almost like you felt so tied down that you couldn't remove sort of the blindfold that was on you. And this is all based on heavy thoughts and emotion. Then there was all this work to do. Like you suddenly had to like get down to work and complete something. You found this inner light inside you like discovering your true inner light. Then there's this disconnect with emotions. It's almost like you had to take time to analyze your own emotions to move forward. You had to balance negative to positive, positive to negative in order to make this right for you, and that was not easy. Then there's this like realization of emotion that just doesn't materialize. It's almost like you're held back from feeling something. Then there's this action, and this is like action upon action. It's almost like you said, enough of this, and just like you put your foot down and you know, you got shit done. You found this balance between, you know, making money and involving either money or health. You started this new journey in finances, or this new journey in a job, or you discovered this new way of making money. And in order to do that, things had to fall apart, things had to crumble, things had to become destructive in order to get better. We're talking about competition, like strong competition. And this was heavy on your head, and you went right inside. It's almost like you went internal about this. Okay, then there was this like inability to make decisions based on the best interests of others. These are financial decisions that were needing to be made, and that kept you up at night. These were like heavy thoughts that disturbed your sleep and kept you going. Then there was this communication, and this is like positive communication, almost like a celebration. This realization that you didn't actually have to work as hard as you did, or that you didn't actually have to take the actions that you thought you would. Standing for yourself. This is you and your action in compared to what everyone else is doing and how that's different. You realized that you were no longer the student, and that you didn't need to learn anymore, that you had the knowledge that you need. And you sat on your throne. You made the decisions in the best interest of others based on your emotions. And that led to the right way of doing things, the systematic way of doing things, or the right way for you. And so, oh my gosh, like that's quite a journey to look at, and back and forth and up and down and here and there. Does that make sense to you, Cynthia? Do you feel like that you're somewhere on this path? I can't even display them, they're so crowded. Does that make sense to you? Like, do you feel like that you started on some journey alone and just went through all of these up and downs, and it just seems like a roller coaster of different events and things and realizations, and then struggles, and then getting past it, and then, you know, what I find really fascinating are the last 4 cards. And I just want to talk about this because this points to like the conclusion or the end of your journey, and where it leads is just absolutely amazing in my opinion when I look at these cards. Okay, so the last 4 cards I'm just going to repeat is like discovering this action that you can take that's different from everyone else. Figuring it out that you're not the student anymore, that you've, you know, surpassed the idea of being a student, or that you've become the professional, or that you are now the teacher. And then this insight on your emotions, and that leads to this balancing of knowing what to do and when to do it and how to do it properly. So, yeah, I really think that even though this is a struggle and a tough, hard journey to take, it leads to such a positive place. I really think you should be proud of yourself based on what I see in this in this trail, or in this journey. Cynthia, I know that there was a lot to look at and go through, but do you feel like you're more towards, that's not even showing up, do you feel like you're more towards the end of this path here? especially with these 4 cards? Or do you feel like that's sort of approaching? Because that could be important moving forward, to know that you are on the right track, and that, you know, if you have already had an experience where, you know, you're no longer the student, or that you have been working out your emotions, or finding the right way of doing things. Okay? So I'm going to put that pile here, and we're going to use that moving forward in this. Okay? So I'm connecting with this to, and your energy and your responses, our interactions, to into this reading. And this reading is going to be with the Psychic Heart Chakra deck. And we're going to look at this situation for you. I think that was honestly the longest path drop that I've received. I think the last one that happened to me was 19 cards. I explained it earlier in the video, actually, and it was really neat that I was able to just explain the situation, or the path, or the journey that my client took moving forward. So I really hope that that connected with you in the same way. I'm just going to cut the deck one more time. Okay. Fascinating, fascinating based on what we just talked about. And here's your cards. So here's the situation for you. I'm going to just show you the cards first, and then we'll talk about them in the order that they came out. Okay. So I'll put them up here so that you can see them as I talk about them. So the first one that came out is the Shine card. Okay, this is a guidance card for the Psychic Heart Chakra deck. And this is about, you know, your inner shine, sort of discovering your inner light and shining with that light, being as bright as you can be. And that's really what this card is representing. So you've discovered this inner light inside you, and you're just going to let it shine, okay? I'm going to put that there. Can you see it there? Okay. Then we have number 4, Shark Chakra. Now this is also a guidance card, and as you may be aware, I think you know this, Cynthia, what the heart chakra represents. Okay, so this is really important to you. This is like in your heart. This is your part of your being. Okay. And then the last card that came out is the Take the Lead card. Now this really is an emotional card that represents communication. And because it's reversed, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not taking the lead, but that you're working on it, or that there's some sort of blockage for you in taking the lead. Does that make sense to you? So let me know if you resonate with that. Absolutely. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to use the Zen deck for the advice based on this situation and this reading. I feel like the cards just want to jump today. And I should also mention, Cynthia, that the Zen deck, I don't use reversals with this deck, so there won't be reversals. The cards will come out in the way that they present themselves. Yes. Following my intuition here, and here are the 3 cards that came out, so I'm just going to show them to you, and then we'll go through them one by one. This is the advice leading or from regarding your situation. So the first card that came out is the Harmony card. Now this is like emotional harmony, okay? And it's also about imagination. It's about finding harmony between reality and your imagination. So and your emotions. So it's like finding balance between what you believe and putting that into your being. Okay. Then there's the awareness card. Now this is emotional awareness. So this is like being aware of what you're going through internally, really deep down knowing what you're feeling and knowing, just being aware of your experience. Okay. And then I really love this in your reading, Cynthia, because this is a communication card for guidance, and it's the guidance card itself. This is like higher guidance, so this is like spiritual guidance. If you look to ancestors, or you look to spiritual guidance, or you have spirit guides, this is suggesting to me that you're on the right track there, that would help you, that the suggestion is to connect with those guides. So when I look at this reading as a whole, in regards to the situation and then how the advice connects with that situation, I can see sort of the similar related messages between the 2 readings. So for example, following that guidance can help you to take the lead, right? Connecting with your heart chakra in the way that it has been suggested can help you with the advice of creating that awareness. And if you can just shine your light and be yourself, that'll create this emotional harmony. I really feel like that this is something really close to you, given that the heart chakra card has come out, and given this long path that you've taken to get here. It would have to be. I mean, I don't think you would go through all of this if it wasn't important to you. But the fact that the heart chakra has revealed itself, this is really about grounding and like I said, just really important to you. So the advice moving forward would be to find that emotional harmony, to create that inner awareness within yourself, and to follow that guidance. Does that make sense to you, Cynthia? Do you have any questions about this reading? Awesome. Okay. So I'm really glad that that makes sense and that you're able to resonate with it. I hope that's helpful. Keep that advice in mind moving forward, and see if that helps create some new insight or some clarity in your situation. I'll put these cards away and thank the cards for their advice and their messages. Are there any other questions or anything that anyone would like to ask or comment on I think we're coming to the end of the broadcast. But I have trouble seeing sometimes how many people are on the broadcast. So if there's anyone watching who were interested in receiving a free reading, just write interested in the chat. If you're watching from the website, because this is being broadcasted to my website as well, if you're watching from the website, you're not going to be able to interact in the chat or type interested for the reading. And so but feel free to connect with me if you really want a reading and you'd like to know what it's about, or you'd like to receive a reading. Please reach out to me. I can be reached at directly from the website at staffordtarot.com, or from my email, bryantarotreading@gmail.com, or my Facebook page, facebook.com bryantarotreading. Either any of those avenues of contact would be great, and we can arrange for a reading, and I can do a quick free reading for you. At any time, if anyone's interested in a free reading, I do automatically include those names in my free draws, my monthly draws, to receive a free 30-minute remote reading. And then I also have that new draw as well that I mentioned earlier for the 100 minutes because of my my blog reaching 100 entries. So feel free to connect with any of those draws, or participate in both of them for higher chances to win. All the information and details are on my website. So oh, you're very welcome, Cynthia. I just saw your message there. I'm glad that you loved it. So thank you so much to everyone who has come on, and thank you for watching. And this will be posted to my page afterwards. So if you missed it, you can check it later, get it another time. Also, all the previous recordings broadcast. This is my 4th one, I think, now. So I have 3 other broadcasts. I try to talk about different things on them. So if you're interested, take a look at those previous ones. In my opinion, they've gotten better and better each time, but that's just because of how nervous I was to get started. So, I really enjoy hearing feedback. So at any time, feel free to reach out and share your feedback, ask questions, or just send me your comments. You're very welcome, Cynthia. And I do very much look forward to Saturday. I'll be a participant at the Niagara Region Pagan Fest, as I mentioned earlier. And again, all the information's on my website, including the address. If you want to come join us, there's lots of great vendors, including Cynthia. I saw some pictures of some of the amazing products that she's creating. And so check them out. Come join us, come meet us, or just swing by, say hi. I will be taking appointments for readings that day. Just pre-book your reading, or reach out to me, or we'll connect. Thank you so much, everybody, and I do wish you all well, and just take good care of yourselves during this super full moon. Bye.